We've seen two-tier policing during the riots, with top cops ignoring violence from Muslim mobs after sitting down with
community leaders.
Salam alaikum.
While regular Brits get no such privilege, they just get dogs and baton charges. And we've seen two-tier media reporting as well. Are we now seeing two-tier sentencing in the courts? A judge in Belfast said that he'd lock people up, even if they were just observing the riots. Never mind the right to protest, in the UK you now don't even have the right to observe a protest. And some of these sentences are for sharing memes on Facebook or shouting spicy things at police. We've seen children as young as 12 facing sentencing, and judges citing anti-establishment opinions. The horror! And is due process being followed? Keir's 24-hour courts have been holding suspects without bail and rushing convictions and sentences through, and there's a sinister implied threat of violence from Asian gangs once they're locked up.
Any right-wing, far-right protester landing up in jail, they can expect a pretty cold reception from what he says are Asian gangs inside prison who will be looking out for them.
Let's have a look at some of these sentences. A gay couple were jailed for more than 2 years each after they walked into the riots after a day at the bingo. The bingo? I thought these rioters were all far-right EDL thugs. Are you telling me that EDL go to the bingo now? Two fat Nazis, 88. The couple told the court they had happened upon the riot by chance when they went out later in the evening to buy alcohol. Man, never get in between a northern gay and the booze shop. According to the Teesside Gazette, former school governor Stephen Maylan, 54, and his partner Ryan Shears, 29. Bit of an age gap, but to be fair, they both look about the same age. Man, people up north age in dog years. Well, according to the newspaper, they were captured dancing and gesticulating at a line of police officers. Dancing, gesticulating, can this get any more evil? Shears was bitten on the bum by a police dog, and Maylan tried to get the dog off him and was hit with a baton. I mean, police dogs biting you on the bum, getting hit with a baton, a day at the bingo ruined. I kind of feel like punishment has already been served. 61-year-old David Spring was sentenced to 18 months in prison despite being a carer for his wife who has health problems. According to the Sutton Guardian, Spring's role in the disorder was shouting abuse and making gestures towards police and joining in chants of "Who the F is Allah?" Now, I fully support the state punishing people who commit violence, but shouting "Who the F is Allah?" is just irreverent British humour, and making gestures at the police, I mean, that falls far short of violence. The police already wear stab vests to protect them against knives. Could we develop some sort of anti-gesture vest as well? Another guy, John Honey, is being sent down for 56 months for nicking Lush bath bombs. Man, you get less time for actual bombs. Not that I'm defending him. Obviously, anyone who uses a riot as a pretext to loot Christmas presents for his mother-in-law is a wrong 'un, and he did other things as well. He smashed up cars and threatened people and stuff, but he did leave them smelling lovely. And this man, Bradley McCarthy, was jailed for 20 months for shouting at a dog. Britain is the only country where you can receive a custodial sentence for telling a dog to get off the couch. If only the police up north took grooming gangs as seriously as they took dog grooming. But at least these people were actually present at the riot. Other people have been jailed for sharing memes on social media. 51-year-old Lee Joseph Dunn was handed an immediate 8-week jail term for 3 Facebook posts showing things such as a group of men, Asian in appearance, at Egremont Crab Fair in 2025 with the caption, "Coming to a town near you." Now this is boomerish and cringey, but it's actually kind of factually correct, with immigration soaring to new heights and thousands of men coming across the channel in small boats, and the government's Operation Scatter policy ensuring that these new arrivals are spread across the country. It's simply a matter of fact that men who look like this are likely to be coming to a town near you. The Muslim Council of Britain themselves point out that fully a third of population growth in the UK is Muslims. Obviously, I think that this is a good thing and very enriching because I don't want Keir Starmer to put me in jail, but I don't see why we have to pretend that it's not happening. The second meme also shows a group of men, Asian in appearance, leaving a boat onto Whitehaven Beach. The court heard that this had the caption, "When it's on your turf, then what?" Well, I suppose you'd better just clap and cheer that you're being enriched. Anything else would see you locked up by Keir Starmer. But I can't help but feel that the government could defuse this conflict by placing illegal immigrants in the plush middle-class communities that demand that they be allowed to come here, rather than dumping them in working-class communities that haven't, and then prosecuting people from those communities who don't like it. A final image shared by Mr. Dunn showed a group of men, again Asian in appearance, wielding knives in front of the Palace of Westminster. There was also a crying white child in a Union flag t-shirt. This was also captioned with the words, "Coming to a town near you." I mean, this seems a bit more inflammatory. There hasn't been a terror attack by a Muslim armed with knives at that location since 2017, when Khalid Masood killed 6 people. And obviously, I think that these terror attacks are a price worth paying to live in a multicultural society, because I don't want Keir Starmer to put me in jail. Another man was convicted for social media posts after a court was told they contained anti-establishment rhetoric. So we're not allowed to criticise the establishment now? And let's look at some other sentences for other people who engaged in sectarian violence. The Golders Green supermarket knife attacker avoided prison altogether, and Muslim men who drove through Jewish areas in London shouting threats to rape their Jewish daughters had their charges dropped. Someone on Twitter dug through sentences previously handed out by these judges to see if there was any discrepancy. Judge Andrew Meanery sentenced 69-year-old William Nelson Morgan to 32 months in prison for refusing to move out of the way of police officers. The same judge previously let a paedophile who collected horrific videos away with no jail time. And Judge John Temperley sentenced 31-year-old Billy Thompson to 12 weeks in prison for emojis which incited racial violence. The same judge previously let a paedophile who'd been stashing child abuse images walk free from court. Judge Paul Sloan sentenced Leanne Hodgson, who's 43, to 2.5 years for shouting racist abuse at a police officer. Sloan had previously let a paedophile caught with 10,000 images of schoolgirls walk free because he hadn't looked at the images recently. And Judge Neil Rafferty is the judge who warned people that even observing protests would get them locked up, but previously he let a man convicted of sexually assaulting his intoxicated niece walk free. Judge Mark Bury sentenced 20-year-old Brandon Kirkwood to 2.5 years in prison for pushing a large wheelie bin at police, but recently let a paedophile walk free with a recommendation to go and get some fresh air. Listen, the last thing nonces should be getting is fresh air. Society doesn't need invigorated, healthy nonces. We want them to be sickly and scared to go outside. It's safer for everyone. Judge Jeremy Richardson sentenced 18-year-old Kenzie Ruffley to 2 years in jail for kicking a CCTV van and goading police. But the same judge recently let a paedophile walk free from court and escape a custodial sentence because he would suffer comprehensively in prison. Well, speaking of people suffering in prison, is there more sinister motive to locking up anyone who professes the slightest dislike of Labour's mass immigration policy? Muslims are overrepresented in the prison population, making up 18% of prisoners across England and Wales, but that rises to 27% in places such as London. Some prisons are now run by Muslim gangs who will want to take revenge on people that they've been told by Keir Starmer are far-right thugs who attack mosques.
And people are being told that if they do appear, whether they're pleading guilty or not guilty, they're very unlikely to get bail. And if they do end up in prison, somebody who knows about these things told me that, any right-wing, far-right protester landing up in jail, they can expect a pretty cold reception from what he says are Asian gangs inside prison who will be looking out for them.
Bear in mind a couple of things here. Rioters are being held on remand in prison before their trial, when they're just accused. So if you're accused, you're treated as if you're guilty and put in prison. And Keir Starmer has smeared every rioter as a far-right thug who attacks mosques. They all have a target on their back. So every single person who's accused of taking part, even if it's just sharing a meme or shouting at a policeman, is going to be locked inside a jail at the mercy of these gangs. In 2016, a man serving 12 months behind bars for leaving a bacon sandwich outside a mosque was found dead in his prison cell. And of course, these men being in jail means they're unable to protect their families from grooming gangs or any predatory males that have been dumped in their community by the government. According to the rioters, these are sometimes the reasons they were rioting in the first place. And with no space in prison, how is the government going to make space for hundreds of naughty memers?
We will guarantee a prison cell. We will make sure that those people who need to be in prison will be in prison, not necessarily in the area where they live. They may be 200-300 miles away from home, but we will guarantee people a prison cell.
The numbers are so tight there. How can you make that guarantee?
They are tight, and that's why we've initiated Operation Early Dawn. So basically, the easiest way to describe it is 1 in, 1 out.
That's right, there's a 1 in, 1 out system. And who's being let out? We're promised they're all non-violent, but this guy, Lawson Natty, was involved in the machete killing of a 14-year-old boy, but he's being released just 6 months into his sentence to make space. Still, I'm sure he's learned his lesson, the lesson being that you get less time for machete killings than for Facebook posts. Some people have said that the sentencing isn't two-tier, as rioting is a special consideration. Harsh sentences were also handed out during the 2011 riots, but the authorities admitted at that time that the response to those riots was too slow and too timid, and those riots were much worse, leading to 5 deaths, including a 68-year-old man who was killed while trying to put out a litter bin fire. And people on the left who spread misinformation or whipped up hate haven't been prosecuted, such as government advisors Hope Not Hate, who spread inflammatory hoaxes about acid attacks on Muslim women by white men. There is clear evidence that the acid attack hoax was an incitement to violence.
Our fathers have come from a different country to here. We were born here. We are British, Pakistanis, we are Muslims. We will stand here. We will fight against EDL. We will fight our ground. Our innocent Muslim sisters are getting acid attacked. Mosques are getting broken. Everyone should be here. Fuck the EDL.
Nick Lowles hasn't even deleted his claim, despite the police having to step in to deny it, as it was causing dangerous hysteria. This is evidence of the two-tier system. If you're on the far left and connected to the government, as Nick Lowles is, you can get away with it. If anything, Nick Lowles should be prosecuted as a priority, because Hope Not Hate's position as trusted government advisors mean they're supposed to have extra credibility. I mean, nobody seriously looks at a 58-year-old housewife's boomerish AI-generated memes and takes them seriously, whereas Hope Not Hate are taken seriously by this government. Keir seems intent on taking this country down a dark path. Facial recognition systems, the internet being monitored and policed, people being locked up for observing protests, suspects subjected to public humiliation. You might be thinking Keir is turning us into communist China, an unchallengeable autocratic regime that clamps down hard on civil liberties and jails political dissidents, a criminal justice system that sows fear and confusion to silence people, laws so vague and broad that everybody has broken them so the state can then pick and choose who to punish, and everyone lives in fear of them. But one crucial difference between the Labour Party and the Chinese Communist Party is that China does all this to enhance patriotism and national unity, whereas Keir is trying to destroy it because patriotism is far right, apparently. Anyway, thanks for listening. If you want to buy me a beer, there's a link below, and if you want to support me making these videos and have input and make the next ones better, you can join my community of free thinkers on Patreon and get uncensored versions of these videos and exclusive content. And if you want to see me perform stand-up comedy live in London, I'm doing 2 shows with Francis Foster on the 23rd and the 30th of August. I think the 23rd is sold out already, but there's still tickets available for the 30th. So there's a link to that below as well. There's lots of links below. You're going to love it. Just get down there and start clicking. Okay, thanks for listening. I've been Keir. Bye. Bye-bye.